people, Earth, I hope every one of you behind your screens or in this arena can feel this level of happiness just one time in your life. You will never feel this level of happiness if you don't go for something in your own life. When they knock you down, when they try and on you, when they talk about you, and they try and put their foot on your neck. If you stay down, you will never ever get that resolve. Fortify your mind and feel this level of happiness as you rise one time in your life. The last style bender, ladies and gentlemen, Israel Adesanya!
In the world of combat sports, it doesn't take much for a rivalry to blossom. When two elite fighters square off multiple times, the intensity is heightened to an even greater level, as their competitive and personal dynamic grows and evolves before our very eyes. And that's exactly what happened with the long-standing feud between Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira. Their rivalry began in the world of kickboxing, and has since spilled over into the MMA realm. Their initial trilogy of fights left fans no closer to discerning the answer of who the better fighter was, and their animosity towards one another showed no signs of slowing down. But at UFC 287 last weekend, Israel Adesanya managed to deliver a statement that defied all expectation. A star-making moment that caused his already huge level of fame to hit another height entirely. To understand the gravity of what the last stylebender achieved, however, we must first take a look at how it all started. The first chapter of the Adesanya Pereira saga took place in 2016 in the Glory kickboxing promotion. Both men had yet to fully enter their prime, but each was certainly seen as a highly touted member of the divisional elite. The two clashed in a closely contested battle that saw Pereira emerge as the victor by way of a controversial split decision. Many fans felt that Adesanya had done enough to win, but this, in our opinion, was by far and away the least eventful of their matchups. Despite the loss, Adesanya had proven that he was a formidable opponent and a force to be reckoned with. Their second encounter just a year later proved that once again, or at least it did at first. Adesanya had improved leaps and bounds since their first fight, and he showed it in the ring. The Nigerian-born striker dominated the early rounds with his precision striking and footwork, making Pereira look lost in the process. But just as Adesanya seemed to be closing in on a decisive victory, Pereira caught him with a perfectly timed punch that sent Adesanya crashing to the canvas. The fight was over in an instant, leaving fans stunned and Pereira victorious once again. And with that, a highlight reel moment for the ages was born. In the wake of that loss, each man went their separate way. Pereira rose to the very peak of the kickboxing game, achieving major success as one of the 10 pound-for-pound greatest fighters in the sport. He also became the first two-weight world champ in Glory history, earning worldwide renown for his now legendary ability to land that left hook. But it could be said that Israel Adesanya managed to achieve, even eclipse, Pereira's achievements, rising through the MMA world to win UFC gold and become a household name in combat sports as a whole. And for a while, the existence of this pair of losses to Poatan wasn't hurting Adesanya's stock in the eyes of the MMA fanbase. He was free to grow as a superstar, unbeaten in the world of his new sport save for a closely fought decision up at 205 pounds. But the past has a funny way of catching up with you, and when Alex Pereira saw the success of his former rival, he decided that he too could make something of himself as a mixed martial artist. And after fighting his way into the UFC and past the number 6 ranked Sean Strickland, the UFC jumped on the chance to set up a third fight between these two kickboxing veterans. All of a sudden, the past was right on Adesanya's doorstep again, and the world was gleefully bringing back that old viral clip of him getting KO'd stiff in 2017. The champion was unbeaten in the middleweight division and among the pound-for-pound greatest in the sport. But all of a sudden, Alex Pereira, who had been fast-tracked to the belt, was getting shine for a win that was 5 years old in a different sport. Izzy had every right to feel disrespected, but on fight night, he fought with all the poise and composure of a champion. Or at least he did up until lightning struck once again. Pereira had been counted out of that fight, but like Deontay Wilder once told Tyson Fury, he only needed to be perfect for one split second in there. And despite having competitive moments here and there, His biggest came in the 5th round, where he tagged Israel at long last, setting up a finishing sequence that made him the most unlikely champion we have seen this side of Brock Lesnar. And over the next few months, Adesanya was made to really live with the weight of what had just happened. For all of his good work early on, Poatan had once again proven that momentum isn't everything. And the eerie similarities between the rhythm of fights 2 and 3 made many fans totally discount Stylebender's chances at getting this one back. And he had to live with that for months, being written off despite his clear technical advantages. But coming into the second MMA matchup, the 4th overall, things were far from straightforward. Should Adesanya look to take a point-fighting approach once more, putting himself in danger of spending too much time in the cage with a man who is constantly making reads on him? Or would a hastier approach be the key, chasing down the finish in order to comprehensively put this rivalry to bed? Well, that route would only increase the danger levels. And we had already watched Pereira pull success out of nowhere. Yeah, there seemingly was no correct answer here. He would need to fight the perfect fight, yes, but even that might not be enough. Through fight week, Izzy had a weird, agitated energy to him. He snapped at the media and just didn't seem to have his usual calm energy. But as it turned out, this man was readying himself for war. And boy did it show on fight night. Instead of coming out with any degrees of fear, Izzy baited Pereira in the exchanges, doing his utmost to kill Poatan with confidence as he set his ultimate trap. And to say that this worked a charm would be putting it lightly. Pereira got overzealous in the 2nd round, stepping too close at Adesanya when he smelled the finish. Unfortunately, he was playing directly into Stylebender's hands, and out of nowhere, Izzy summoned up a bigger punch than he had ever thrown in his career, dazing Poatan before the follow-up put his lights out. It was a dramatic victory that caught everyone off guard. A star-making performance for a guy who was already one of the biggest attractions in the sport. According to Israel himself, the plan was always to bait Pereira into opening himself up for the counter, fighting fire with fire in a sense. And you could just tell that Adesanya felt some serious joy after this win, but he certainly wasn't afraid to rub it in people's faces. He made a point of calling out the media directly after, as well as any haters who have dedicated their time to taking shots at him. He even managed to get an incredibly bizarre piece of revenge over Pereira's young son, who had mocked him years previously after his initial kickboxing loss. Weird, but hey, you do you, Izzy. That was a mountain for Israel Adesanya to climb. And if he wasn't able to do it, the ramifications for his legacy would have truly been monumental. But if you needed any further proof of this man's status as an all-time great, we got that at UFC 287. The last Stylebender was written off by the fighting world to a greater extent than he ever should have been. People looked at the 0-3 scoreline and forgot that fighting isn't always about the numbers. This was a legendary spectacle for the middleweight division, and with Izzy reinstated as the champ, order has certainly been restored. But what did you make of Israel Adesanya's insane finish of Alex Pereira? Let us know in the comments section below before checking out our feature on Bo Nickel, the man who looks set to be the future of the 185-pound division. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.